Talk about low-budget flights. No food or movies? I'm out of here. I like running better. Welcome back, YouTube viewers, to another video. So before we begin, I'd like to just say that this is going to be uploaded on Sunday, of course, and this was going to be my last video for a few weeks. I'm not super tired of this or anything, but I'm just going to be taking a break from YouTube. I'm uploading at least. I'll still probably be uploading on my community page, but this will be my last video for a few weeks. So just without further ado, let's get into today's topic. So I recently rewatched Sonic Boom for the fourth time, I think. Yeah, or third time. This is just a great show. This is one of my favorite shows of all time, and yeah, it's my second favorite thing to come out of the Sonic franchise. You guys should all know what the number one thing is, just from my channel name, but I just thought this is a video I had in the back of my mind for a while, so without further ado, let's dive into Sonic Boom's 10 best episodes. Ranked in no particular order, although I will tell you what my two favorites are. Let's do it to it. So I'm just going to be going through these in a chronological order. So first is Cowbot from Season 1. This episode is just... this is the first episode I saw that just really sold me on the show because I already liked the other episodes. But this was the first one that just really had me laughing nonstop. Eggman creates... It's just such... He creates a robot cow, and Sonic says, "That's gotta be the lamest thing you've ever come up with." And he says, "That's not true. There was Rockbot, and Stickbot, and Mathbot, and who can forget Lamebot?" These jokes may not sound super funny on paper, but when they're put in the context of the show and they're delivered by the actors, they just come out perfectly. And the whole episode just becomes about Sonic, Tails, and Eggman in Eggman's lair waiting for Cowbot to arrive before they can launch their big attack on it. And for a few minutes, you just get a bunch of scenes of them just sitting around doing things. Like watching TV and Sonic and Tails being very annoyed, watching Eggman yell advice to the characters, or just seeing them all eat marshmallows. And of course, there's so Sonic, bro to bro, what's going on with you and Amy? You guys should know, in case you don't know, I hate Sonic and Amy, but whatever. That's just a hilarious joke. And then the episode ends with them beating Cowbot with marshmallows or something. See, it sounds really silly, but this episode is just gold. And then there's Aim Low. Yeah, another episode that really sold me on how great this show could be. Because it's just an interesting concept of Eggman is just going through the motions now, and he gets so tired of fighting Sonic, always losing. Even though if we were going by a point system, I probably would have won. Any victory at all is better than no victory, sir. So he hires Soar the Eagle, a background character, to give him advice on how to soar like an eagle. And, what to buy? It's also uplifting. Oh, you should buy all of it. And so Eggman takes this guy's advice and makes him his personal trainer to motivate himself and be a better villain, except he eventually thinks, that guy's weighing me down, I'm just going to get rid of him. And then he does, but without him, he just has absolutely no idea on what to do on such little choices, like, should I sleep on my bed, or on the couch? And then it becomes Eggman lazing around in his pajamas watching TV, and all he's interested in is binging season 4 of Hedgehog Abbey. And the way this affects Sonic is that now he gets super bored and tired because he has nothing to do now. So, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Sticks set up some big plan to get Sonic and Eggman to start fighting each other again. Yeah, this is a perfect type of Sonic Boom episode, but this is a very Season 1 episode, as in, it's really great. Season 1 isn't as good as Season 2, but it's really good, but it's just that the show hasn't quite found its absurd level of silliness just yet. Season 1 episodes are more grounded, which still isn't even really a good word for it, because they're still pretty crazy. And Season 2 is just complete insanity. But then there's New Year's Retribution. This episode probably isn't as funny as most of the others, but I've watched this one every New Year's Eve since, I don't know, the New Year's Eve of December 2018, aside from 1 year where I didn't see it. So I've seen this so many times. It's ingrained into my mind, and I just have to put it on this list. I mean, especially just I think this one does deserve to be on the list though because of the whole sequence with Orbot and Cubot, where Eggman comes in saying how he still hasn't been able to accomplish his New Year's resolution from this year of beating Sonic at least once, and Orbot tells him, "Well, I've got an idea for New Year's Eve party game that will blow your socks off. If you pull the checkerboard, I'm gonna turn you into scrap metal." And then so you just get a scene of Eggman and Orbot playing checkers until Eggman just slaps them away and says how much he hates checkers. Which again, that doesn't sound super funny, but the way it's done is just amazing. This show is perfect animated comedy with all the crazy slapstick and the way the lines are all delivered. And then you get into Orbot for some reason cooking roast, which I guess is for Eggman. He says, "We can all marvel at my famous pot roast." And Eggman says, "It too is a sad but succulent reminder of how slowly and painfully my life goes to waste." And Cubot says, "A slow cooker is truly one of life's most poetic small kitchen appliances." And then Eggman creates a slow motion machine that slows everyone down in the village right before the New Year's Eve ball is about to crash down and declare the new year. Which, of course, slow motion for Sonic just means regular speed because he wants some time to beat Sonic. And since those robots are slow too, Sonic and Eggman have Django competitions and checkers, which Eggman, of course, loses and slaps the board away. And the board goes in slow motion and he says, "That would be a lot more dramatic in regular speed." And then Sonic and Eggman have a dance battle, and then Eggman wins, and then it becomes New Year's Eve, and everyone goes back to regular speed. And he says, "Look, I beat Sonic," and everyone says, "Well, no, you didn't. What are you talking about?" And he says, "But I did." And Sonic says, "Well, technically, to them, it happened in the blink of an eye. Nobody saw anything. Well, no one but me. Happy New Year, Egghead." This is a really good one. Watch it every New Year's. Then there's Role Models. This is one I remember watching years ago, and when I came back to it and I watched Sonic Boom in its entirety for the first time a few years ago, I just love this episode. It kind of reminds me of an Animaniacs episode, like the one where the Warners are told their cartoon is too violent and crazy for kids, and they need to tone it down. Here's 24 hours of kids who watched the Smurfs or something. Would you like to share? Sure, we can share, because we can do that and still be unique. And here are 24 hours of kids who watch 24 hours of your show, and they just beat each other up with mallets. So this episode is, Team Sonic is, what are they? What would be? They're scolded by this duck platypus guy, who tells them they need to be proper role models. And even though Knuckles says, "Hey, we're trying to shoot this girl out of a cannon here. Stop interrupting us." What follows is a hilarious sequence of them having to be better by doing things like, having to, he said, you should, eat at home for once. Real role models know the value of a home-cooked meal. You can't eat at restaurants all the time. In all fairness, Medburger is barely a restaurant. And they have to eat at home. And we get into one of the show's many lines about feminism, I guess. I don't know. I mean, these jokes are pretty funny whenever they get to it, though, and this is a pretty funny line, too. As role models, it's important not to fall into gender stereotypes by making the woman cook. And then Amy just says, "Normally, I'd agree with you in principle, but I'm the only one of us who knows how to cook, and I enjoy it." And then he just stamps back with, "What you like is unimportant." And Styx really hates this guy and just leaves. But when they have to actually go in the battle with Eggman, this guy has them wear all sorts of protective gear and say how they shouldn't try to beat up Eggman first. They're small, impressionable children here. They should resolve things with their words. Which eventually, of course, they stop doing. Styx tosses this guy into a trash can and they beat up Eggman. And then Sonic says, I don't think I want to be a role model. I'd rather be hilariously edgy." That was the last season 1 episode for this list. So that was only about 4. The other 6 would have to be starting with The Biggest Fan, my favorite episode. Yeah, I bet you didn't see that one coming. This is the best episode of Sonic Boom, which, memes aside, there's a reason this episode is as well remembered as it is. Not just because of how it makes fun of Sonic fans, but it's just a genuinely really funny episode. Because it's just a good parody of fandom in general. How some people can be so obsessed. You see this guy just following Sonic nonstop, like saying, I can't believe I'm having lunch with Sonic the Hedgehog. We even have the same order. Actually, I didn't get a grape soda. This is all wrong! And then he says, yeah, well, at least I'm eating with you guys. Actually, we just finished. Oh, then I have too. And the guy eventually kidnaps Sonic and says he's nursing him back to health because he saved Sonic from an accident, which was definitely not on purpose because it was an accident. And we get more great jokes and everybody is talked to death about. But I want to say that nobody talks about the line of the I'll let you eat from one of my collector's food plates. Collector's food plates? But those aren't food safe. They aren't food safe. And then there's the let's reenact my Sonic fan fiction. I'll pick out something family friendly. No. Definitely not that one. Here we go. I can be Sonic and you'll be Tails. Shouldn't I be Sonic? Quiet, Tails! Yeah, I don't. How these writers come up with this stuff? And then, of course, there's the, you were trying to escape, weren't you? Escape? No, just looking for more of that fan fiction of yours. Sanemi, spicy. I didn't really care much for that one, but it seems to be obligatory in the genre. Which, might I just say that, before I actually watched the show in its entirety, before I even knew this episode existed, I just saw this compilation video on YouTube of cartoons being self-aware and breaking the fourth wall. When I saw that, I was thinking, what was going on in Sonic Boom? I haven't seen that show in years. What were they doing? Of course, that's not why I decided to watch the show. I decided to watch the show after I saw the second movie, hated it, and thought, maybe I should go watch Sonic Boom. Okay, then there's my second favorite episode. I Can See Sonic's Fear from Here. This one is also an episode that's been clipped to death with which, I mean, I can't blame people for loving the clips of. They were going to put me in the beginner's class with the little kids. I can't be seen swimming around with a bunch of 5-year-olds. They can be so cruel and they sense weakness. That's why on the first day you beat up the biggest one in the yard. Knuckles, that's prison. Only if you let it be. But the episode just has other great jokes too. I mean, I just like the idea of Eggman figures out that what is Sonic most afraid of? Finding out that people figure out that he goes to the lair basement, puts on a wig, and sings show tunes? Close, but he's most afraid of water. So he hatches his big scheme in water, and of course Sonic is too afraid and does whatever he can to not have to get stuck there, fighting Eggman underwater. And he also hires Sword the Eagle as a coach, huh? I only realized that just now, both he and Eggman do that in separate episodes, and they're both some of my favorites. So Sonic hires Sora to teach him how to not be afraid of water, and he says, water is our friend, just regular harmless H2O, which he flicks a drop of water and it lands on an outlet and causes a fire. Bad example. Yeah, this one's just really funny. It's just joke after joke after joke, and pretty much all of them are great. Then there's the episode Planes, Trains, and Dude-Mobiles. Yeah, now this is a great one. This one's just a classic. With a title like that, I'm sure it's a parody of some movie, but wait, it is. It's a parody of that movie I've never seen. Not that I really care to see it, but yeah. So Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, in reference to that episode in season 1 where they became a band. Apparently, they've actually stuck at being a band. Now they're going on a road trip to play their next gig. I also like how this is the first of a double episode where this episode after this is what Styx and Amy are doing while this episode takes place, but this is definitely the superior episode. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. I thought you said to have fun. So Sonic, Tails, Knuckles are on their way, but they continuously get stopped because different things, like Knuckles wants to see a replica of the world's largest non-rocking chair. And Sonic calls Amy and says, Amy, we are having the worst time of our lives here. I'm sure it's not that bad. And here is a scaled-down replica of the world's largest non-rocking chair. Never mind. And Knuckles even says, "Look guys, look what I just bought at the gift shop! A scaled down replica of the world's largest non-rocking chair!" But eventually the actual plot gets moving when they get in trouble with this. They get a speeding ticket from this police officer, and Sonic says, "Ugh, a speeding ticket? But I'm Sonic the Hedgehog, the quintessential hero type!" I'll fight it in court, but I don't think they'll accept gotta go fast as a medical term, or a medical condition. But eventually they bring in, Knuckles brings in the bike-chained bandit in their car, and from the looks of it, Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are bike-chained bandits, and they get arrested until they're able to escape, and they find the bike-chained bandit, get him arrested, and clear their names. And then it turns out that Tails was so excited that they drove to the place where their concert's supposed to be a month early. So they spent all this time for nothing. Oh, and this episode has a really good song too. It's really cheesy, but I like it. And I mean, once again, this episode just has so many quotable lines, like, Knuckles, who is that fine gentleman? Oh, he seems lost, so I took him in. Can we discuss something, guys? And this is totally unrelated to you. This is about some other sociopath. What are you doing here? Biding my time. Okay, Insanity. Another Eggman episode. Yeah, the Eggman episodes are really funny. Isn't pointed out before this, the show went on, it just became more and more about Eggman. This is also an episode that feels more like a season 1 episode in terms of it's a more grounded plot, but its humor is on the level of season 2, because I mean, look at some of these plots. Okay, season 1 is about this more grounded stuff, I guess, aside from Cowbop. But then you get to episodes like The Biggest Fan, where a guy kidnaps Sonic and forces him to reenact his fan fiction with him or something. Then you get to an episode where okay, I guess that this one isn't too weird, but then you get to this and then this. So there's a recurring subplot in this show that you see occasionally of Eggman is mad that the government won't pick up his trash on time. His dumpster just gets fuller and fuller. How do they come up with this stuff? I don't know, but it's great. I mean, they actually collect it, and he says, "Yes, yes, collect my garbage in an orderly time." But then the mayor tells him that since he had too much, his trash was above the limit, I guess, he has to pay a fee. So Eggman turns his lair into a hotel. And again, it's just joke after joke after joke. Like, he hears that an important critic is going to be there, and he wants to impress the critic. So he sees this fancy red bird guy and starts sucking up to him. But then he finds out that he's not the critic. Then he sees that platypus guy from the other episode and thinks he's the critic because he looks super fancy. And he starts being super nice to him, and then he says, "Thanks, I don't want to be famished while I'm selling vacuum cleaners." And Eggman says, "Selling vacuum cleaners? Is that even a thing anymore?" And then it turns out Amy is the critic and a bunch of other stuff happens. Just go watch it yourself. It's really good. Then there is Mr. Eggman, which I'm pretty sure follows right after the last one. So, Eggman is at some store to buy parts for supervillains, which it's okay. Just the opening of this episode is probably the best. You've probably seen it on some kind of out of context compilation before. You were here last week, weren't you? I had to threaten your life. Well, not anymore. I was married last week, but now I'm divorced. You're looking at a man with nothing left to lose. Turns out that Eggman has a few credits short on his villain degree, I guess. So he has to go back to some kind of villain school to get his degree. And he ends up being the one student every year that gets picked on by the teacher and berated and called a goat. And bad things just continuously happen to him until he finds out that the only way for him to pass is if he gets a perfect score on the final exam. So he just steals the answers. And then it turns out he was the only one who passed because the real final test was not to complete the regular test. It was to steal the fake answer sheet that the professor had. Which is a real shame that no one else passed. After all, they spent 87 weeks in this class. Okay, Last one here, Eggman's anti-gravity ray. This is the one of the clip with, Amy, constantly calling attention to the breaking of gender roles, ultimately undermines the concept of gender equality by implying that this is an exception and not the status quo. That's surprisingly smart. I mean, it's true. Let's be honest with ourselves. But the rest of this episode is just really funny. So Cubot gets connected to Eggman's anti-gravity ray, where he becomes enlightened and makes everyone in the village fly up into the sky, and Eggman's gonna solve it. But then he sees, oh, Sonic's here. He'll just find a way to fix everything. I guess I can go get some French fries. And would you like fries with that? Yeah, I do want fries with my fries. So I saw this in a YouTube comment section once in that clip. Someone said that he asked he asked for fries, or he said he wanted fries with his fries, and then the employee took out his phone and played the clip of, do you want fries with that? Yes, I do want fries with my fries. Thinking that some random cashier at a restaurant just had that on his phone. And that was probably the only time he ever used it. But anyway, this episode is just insanity. Dumb jokes non-stop, and they're all great. Like the entire scene that talks about Orbot's financial circumstances. And of course, you'll all be free to express yourselves. Oh no, the last thing we want is Amy expressing herself. We gotta do something! In conclusion, those are my 10 favorite episodes of Sonic Boom. As if you couldn't tell, I know a lot of lines from this show, and I think it's really, really funny. If you have Hulu or Netflix, preferably Hulu, you should go watch the show again. It's really good and funny, and I understand if this isn't everyone's cup of tea. After all, humor is subjective and all, but this show just is hilarious. Pretty much every episode has at least one really funny joke, even if the other earlier episodes aren't even close to as good as the highs this show reaches. So, well, again, I'll probably be uploading on my community page, but this will be my last video for a while. So, thank you all for watching, and as always, keep on juicing.